The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador L. Martinez gathered her data pads with deliberate, measured movements. No dramatic speeches, no threats, no appeals for reconsideration. The human delegation simply prepared to leave. Surely you cannot be serious. Councillor Vrextel clicked his mandibles in what his species considered amusement. Over a simple trade regulation? L's dark eyes met his compound ones. Simple. Her voice carried no anger, only a quiet weariness that somehow felt more dangerous. You've restricted human medical technology exports to species deemed culturally incompatible. That's 47 civilizations whose suffering you've prolonged because you find our methods distasteful. Your regenerative treatments are unnatural. High Arbiter Solène interjected, her crystalline form refracting the chamber's light, forcing tissue to regrow, extending lifespans beyond natural parameters we offered to teach. L interrupted softly. We asked nothing in return, and you voted to ban it. We understand. That is your choice to make. Oscar Chen, the human military liaison, stood beside her. His uniform was impeccable, his posture relaxed. To those who knew humans, that relaxation was the warning sign. Vrextel did not know humans well enough. You'll change your minds, the counselor said. Humans always do. Too emotional, too impulsive. You'll be back within a cycle, begging to rejoin. No. Oscar's single word cut through the chamber like a blade. We won't. The delegation walked out. No stomping, no door slamming. Just a quiet, professional exit that left the assembled council members exchanging uncertain glances. Good riddance, muttered Ambassador Krell of the Tharn hegemony. Aggressive primitives, always acting like they know better than civilizations. That mastered space travel while they were still banging rocks. Together, what the council didn't understand, what they couldn't understand, was that humanity had learned patience the hard way, learned it through wars that scorched their home world, learned it through extinctions and near extinctions, learned it through watching their own arrogance nearly destroy them. They had learned when to walk away. 3 months later, the first reports arrived at the human trade vessels that had plied the space lanes for decades, simply rerouted. Human merchants who had integrated into 1,000 markets quietly liquidated their assets and departed. Human students in council universities completed their terms and went home. Human researchers published their findings in newly established human-only databases. Behind authentication walls, the withdrawal was so smooth, so professional, that it took the council to more months to realize what was happening. They've cut us off. Councillor Vrextel's voice lacked its usual smugness as he addressed the emergency session. Not with hostility, not with declarations. They've just stopped. Al had predicted this moment. Sitting in her small apartment on Mars, watching Earth rise over the rust-red horizon, she imagined their confusion. Oscar, now promoted to defense coordinator, had been less charitable in his assessment. They'll panic when their infrastructure starts failing, he'd told her during their last conversation. 53% of council jump gate maintenance protocols use human-developed algorithms. 71% of their medical facilities use equipment we either built or designed. They took it all for granted. We gave it freely, Al had reminded him, and they spat on the gift. Now they'll learn what absence costs. He'd been right. Within 6 months, the cracks showed. Council jump gates began experiencing cascade failures. The human technicians who had maintained them were gone, and the humans had entirely legally encrypted their proprietary systems before leaving. The encryption wasn't meant to be broken. It was meant to be a message: we owe you nothing. Medical facilities across council space reported equipment failures. The human manufacturers had honored existing warranties, but no new contracts were being negotiated. No replacement parts were being shipped. Customer service requests went unanswered, not ignored, just rerouted to departments that no longer existed. The Valix plague hit the Outer Rim territories in the 8th month of human withdrawal, a virus that attacked silicon-based neural structures. It was devastating to half a dozen council species. Human xenobiologists had developed a cure 3 years prior, had offered it to the council medical database. The council had rejected it as unverified by proper channels. Now, with Valix spreading across 9 systems, the council sent desperate requests for aid to Earth. Official channels, unofficial channels, backdoor diplomatic contacts. The responses were polite, professional, and utterly inflexible. The Terran Federation is currently focusing on internal development. Read the official statement. We wish the Galactic Council well in addressing their current challenges. 12,000 Valaks died before the Council's own researchers developed an inferior treatment. El wept for each one, but she did not break. A year after the withdrawal, High Arbiter Solen herself arrived at Earth's orbital station. The crystalline being who had called human medicine unnatural now came begging. Oscar met her in the diplomatic bay, El at his side. They had known this moment would come. We made an error in judgment, Solen began, her pride cracking like her crystalline surface under stress. The Council wishes to renegotiate. Renegotiate what? El asked. You made your position clear. You found our methods distasteful, our presence uncomfortable. We respected that. We were hasty. You were certain, Oscar corrected. You called us primitives, warmongers, cultural contaminants, and you had every right to those opinions, just as we have every right to withdraw. Solen's light dimmed. What do you want? Territory? Resources? Voting rights in the Council? El shook her head. We want nothing from you. That's what you can't seem to understand. We came in friendship. We shared freely. And when you rejected that friendship, we left in peace. We're done trying to convince people who don't want to be convinced. But the Valak's plague, you chose to reject our cure, Oscar said flatly. That was your choice. We mourn those who died, but their deaths are not our responsibility. They're yours. The High Arbiter stood in silence for a long moment. Then why am I here? Why agree to this meeting? El's expression softened slightly. Because despite everything, we're not vindictive. If the Council wishes to acknowledge its error publicly, to reform its policies, to approach us as equals rather than primitives to be managed, then perhaps we can discuss a new relationship. But it will be on terms of mutual respect, or not at all. The Council will never. Then we have nothing more to discuss. Oscar gestured toward the airlock. Safe travels, High Arbiter. Solen departed, and El watched her ship vanish into the void. Do you think they'll change? Oscar considered. Some will. Those who've suffered enough. The rest will blame us for their failures. Such is the way of pride. And if they attack, if they decide to take by force what we won't give freely. A thin smile crossed Oscar's face. Then they'll learn the other reason we're called humanity. Fuck yeah. He paused. But I don't think they will. We've shown them the cost of our absence. They're finally beginning to calculate the cost of our opposition. El nodded, turning back to the viewport where Earth hung in space, blue and green and alive. We gave them everything. They rejected it. Now they'll have to learn to ask properly, or learn to live without us, or that. In the silence of their withdrawal, humanity had delivered the most devastating weapon of all, the simple demonstration of their worth. Through its absence, the Council would answer for its choices, and humanity would wait, patient as always, to see if wisdom could grow from regret.